What a time it's been for wrestling recently. Only a few weeks we were smashing out SummerSlam, then we had all the craziness with StarCast and All In. Raw was a couple of days ago, and now we had another episode of SmackDown. If you're into wrestling, if you love your wrestling, I think wrestling has gone, here you are, have a bunch of nonsense thrown right into your face. So let's bring all of that to a close with the most recent offering on the table, which was of course SmackDown Live. It happened last night. Maybe you watched it, maybe you didn't. Maybe you've tuned in to SmackDown Ups and Downs so you can figure out what happened. Because I watch wrestling so you don't have to. Let's up those downs. WWE is trolling me. That's the only thing I can fathom, because the first damn thing we heard on SmackDown Live was pre-mode. And I promised myself I wasn't going to reference that anymore because I'd already run it into the ground. But when WWE attacks me so viciously, I've got no choice but to call them out. So you know what you've done, Vince McMahon. You're getting it down. It's an up for the segment itself though, because Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella did arrive on the scene to chat about their upcoming match against The Miz and Maryse. Renee Young, who was hosting the interview, did indeed show some footage from last week when Daniel Bryan took on Andrade Cien Almas, and also some stuff that was taken earlier in the day when The Miz and Maryse called out Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella before the show had even started, and they were just stood there in an empty ring. What? That is like me doing ups and downs, never putting it live and then wondering why nobody viewed it. Makes me an idiot. This prompted Almas and Vega to come out. They challenged Daniel Bryan to a match. He accepted. We got the match. And it's getting it up. It was just good back and forth action once again, and Almas looked really good here once more. Although really, we need to put him in a feud soon that he can actually win. Otherwise, he's going to become that good wrestler that loses all the time, aka SmackDown's version of Kevin Owens. There was no interference this week, so eventually Daniel Bryan won with a running knee, and Brie Bella was so mad at Vega afterwards, she got a running knee in the face too. Miz and Maryse then appeared on the big screen and said that they'd actually left the arena because they fancied some food. So Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella also decided to pop out, I guess because they were hungry as well. It was nice. It was nice watching wrestlers in their real environment, you know, away from the wrestling ring. Lovely, just lovely. It was Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair time next as the greatest ever accidental "let's make this person more of a babyface than they ever were" push continues, and it's getting it up. Lynch was cheered like an absolute hero, even though they did one of those weird segments where they had an interview going on, but the feud is so crazy and it's so aggressive and there's so much on the line. Charlotte was in one room and Becky Lynch was in another room. They just had like a little line down the side, so they were talking to each other, even though really they're just looking into the camera like I'm looking into the camera now. So it went like this. "Oh, Charlotte, I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna come down to that ring and take your title. No, you're not, Becky. I'm Charlotte Flair. I'm the champion. No one can do this, blah, 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 blah." So yeah, it just felt a bit unnatural and a little bit stilted. And really, this was the weakest this feud has been so far, but it was still alright. It still ticked all the boxes. Charlotte was like, "Becky, do you want me to just lay down at Hell in a Cell?" Becky was all like, "Ain't no charity case. I'm coming to the pay-per-view and I'm gonna whip your ass." This was mostly to make the match official. You know what? I'm excited to see it, and I'm intrigued to see what WWE does, because they've kind of booked themselves into an interesting position. If Charlotte Flair retains that, she's going to become a proper heel, and if Becky Lynch wins, maybe she does become one of the biggest damn baby faces on the damn roster. So it gets a thumbs up, because if I'm intrigued and ready for a match, something's gone right. Hey. And what followed made me very happy, as it did indeed prove I can predict the future, because we had another match between the Iconics and Naomi. And yeah, I'm going to be a hypocrite anyway because he gets it down. Why? Because for yet another week, we just saw Naomi beat Peyton Royce, although this time she did it after a sunset flip. And I know, a few weeks ago I said if WWE turned this into a little story, I would retract my down. But as it turned out, the story is no good and it's really boring. Given that the Iconics did lose, they both got mad and Billie Kay got in there and they started to lay the boots to Naomi. And just like I had said a week ago, Asuka's music hit, she returned to the program and she helped Naomi out. And yeah, I turned my back on what I said, which makes me an asshole, but I just gotta be honest. If I'm not honest, I'm being a liar, and I ain't a damn liar. I just don't want to see the Iconics versus Naomi and Asuka, especially when you remember the year Asuka has had. Good thing we got rid of that undefeated streak, WWE. It's definitely worked out. And now I'm slowly going to take this thumb down and away from the screen. You don't deserve it. Had a cool promo video for Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton at the Hell in a Cell, underlining that yes, this will be Jeff Hardy's first ever Hell in a Cell match, so who knows what he's going to do. And then later on, we had another one focusing on Randy Orton That was good too. It's just one of those, really good WWE video packages they do, and you go, oh yeah, you're really good at production, WWE gets it up. The Miz nonsense continued after this too, because can you believe it? They hadn't actually gone to dinner at all, and they were at the arena, and they bumped into Paige, and because they got into a bit of a fracas, Paige said, well, unfortunately, Miz, you're going to be in a match later. It gets an up because it was another step in a show-long storyline, and if you watch these ups and downs videos, you know I love a good show-long storyline, even if I don't get a good payoff at the end. At least it gives me a reason to start the show and a reason to watch the show, to get to the end of the show to see what happened throughout the show. #show. I know a lot of people like this as well, but I think just a little bit we may have jumped the shark when it comes to all this R-Truth and Carmella stuff, so when they first did it, it's getting it down. No one will agree with me, and that's cool, I get it, I still love you, but here, Truth did indeed bump into Maryse, but he thought she was Carmella, and that annoyed The Miz, so The Miz called Truth irrelevant, and he has been for the last 7 years, because that's when we're a tag team. So later on in the SmackDown main event, it is going to be The Miz versus R-Truth. Truth also quipped that he doesn't get what Carmella sees in The Miz, and I tell you this bit didn't work, but later on, it did work, so that means it's just smiles, peaches and cream all round. A very cool segment between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe followed, because of course it did. These two are just great getting up. Obviously last week Joe threatened to go to the AJ Styles home, but he was lying because he was here this evening and he got in the ring and he cut a damn good promo, because of course he did, he's Samoa Joe. Also though, Todd Phillips on commentary when he saw Joe was like, oh, what's Joe doing here? I thought he was meant to be at AJ Styles' house. You shouldn't be upset about that, good guy commentator. You should be like, oh, thank goodness Joe was lying. What is wrong with you? Anyway, the Samoan one did get on the microphone and said that the champ was so worried that he actually was going to follow through on his threat to go to AJ Styles' house. But AJ hadn't come to SmackDown and instead was at home. So because of Samoa Joe's actions, he's finally made Styles care about his family. In Samoa Joe, just the best dick in the world. He acts all like a dick, he's a massive dick, but you love him because he's so good at being the bad guy dick. And he carried that on here as well by looking right into the camera and telling AJ Styles' daughter that a very bad man is coming to put her father to sleep. Pure fire, man, pure fire. As it turned out that AJ was in the arena and he was pissed. He cut a quick interview on the Titantron. He ran down and proceeded to beat Samoa Joe around the ring, and he even gave him a phenomenal forearm off the stairs. And that's a hard thing to say. I just stumbled over my word. Let's try again. A phenomenal forearm off the stairs. Did it. The champ was also going to smash Samoa Joe with a chair, but a load of officials ran out, including Paige, to calm him down. AJ Styles didn't care about that, and he still hit a crossbody onto Samoa Joe and a load of the referees before finally they got him out of there because AJ Styles has gone crazy. It was nothing too special, but it was just a great way to continue this angle, and I tell you, I've got everything crossed that Samoa Joe does win the title at Hell in a Cell. Can you imagine? Can you imagine this guy, this character, being your WWE champion? It would be devastatingly badass, and it would justify everything that Joe's been going on about, and that could just make Styles all the madder. Make it happen, WWE. Don't make me sad. Which brings us to R-Truth Part 2, where I've got to hold my hands up and say he got me here, and therefore it gets turned up. He was backstage with Tye Dillinger, and he eventually found Carmella, and he said to her, please be in my corner later, because I'm fighting The Miz, and I know when The Miz goes out there, he's going to have someone in his corner, and it's going to be Carmella. That made me laugh. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but I liked that. Carmella agreed because she was annoyed that Maryse had dissed her earlier, and then Truth turned to Tye Dillinger, who was confused about all of this, and said, Mr. Dillinger, I've just shown how you get booked into the main event on SmackDown. I like that little reveal. I liked it. R-Truth was being smart, and indeed, he got himself in the last match on the program. Yeah, a little bit different. And yes, my friends, then Glory finally came to SmackDown Live, because it was indeed Rusev Day, and they were taking on Sanity, who were also taking on the Usos, and the winner was going to go to next week's program to face The Bar, who then, after that, go on to take on the tag team champions known as The New Day. Can you believe it? Rusev Day won. Give it up. In fact, give it a gold up. I don't even know what that is, but I liked it so much, it gets a gold up. It was a pretty decent match between them all as well, and there were barely any shenanigans, which means when Rusev finally won after the match could kick, it made it all the better. And also the finish came when Aiden English saved Rusev. He pushed his foot off the rope when surely he was going to lose, and that made me happier still, because now you know Rusev Day, they're back, they're together, they're loving it, and they're heading on to become the #1 contenders. Maybe. Just make these two tag team champions, please, and don't do anything next week where Aiden English screws up and that severs the team. I like them. The fans like them. They're really over here. Let's face it. Sheamus and Cesaro, they're all good, but we've seen it. We don't need to see it again. Also, I looked it up, and next week's SmackDown falls on Rusev Day. You can't take the mick out of Rusev and Aiden English when that's going down. Think, use your brain. It was then confirmed that yes, the actual main event on SmackDown would be The Miz versus R-Truth, and they all came out with their respective partners. Who saw that coming? Give up. And it was a really entertaining match with Maurice and The Miz insulting Daniel Bryan and Brie before the thing got going. But honestly, genuinely, go and check it out. And for a man in his 40s, R-Truth is a damn good pro wrestler, and the fans were really behind him. It warmed me up. It made me feel like, ooh, cozy. I like this. Expectation continued to get thrown out the window because just as The Miz was about to hit the skull-crushing finale, Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella arrived back on SmackDown. Of course, that caused a distraction because we're watching WWE, and R-Truth rolled up the A-lister for the win. The Bryans beat up the heels until Vega and Almas arrived back on the scene, but even then they couldn't do much, and SmackDown went off air with both Brie and Daniel locking those two idiots in the yes lock. Now, I'm starting to get a little worried that we may make this Hell in a Cell match a three-way, and I don't know how I feel about that at all. Imagine one of the matches on that card is Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maurice versus Andrade Cien Almas and Selena Vega. Imagine too, they actually put it in a Hell in a Cell, and that would qualify under the absolutely bizarre category. So it was yet another very entertaining and easy to watch episode of SmackDown, even though it is getting one last down. That's right, a down out of nowhere because Shinsuke Nakamura weren't on the damn show. And usually that's cool. You can hide your stars, but not when he's the US champion, and that US championship, A, needs to feature more, but B, ain't even on the pay-per-view at the moment. And if a championship isn't on the pay-per-view, it means you're diminishing your titles, WWE, and I don't like it. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Like, share, and subscribe. Then you head over to WhatCulture.com and you read yourself some articles. And you follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thanks for watching, and for all those lovely people that let me know some little teeny tiny mistakes I make along the way. Don't worry about it, man. You know what I meant. Just sometimes my brain is exploding with love, and it's exploding with power, and just gibberish shoots out like fire, ready to burn. I don't know. What does fire burn that's not bad? Grass. When a farmer... No farmer burns grass. Why would a farmer would you burn your grass? Anyway, I'm not a farmer, but I'm now going to say the farmers burn grass. See you soon.